Hello everyone. Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl is one such book which has profound impact on my thought process. Written in German, translated to more than 20 languages and more than 12 million copies are sold so far. This book is also translated to Kannada by Subhash Rajamane named ಬದುಕಿನ ಅರ್ಥವನ್ನು ಹುಡುಕುತ್ತಾ. Viktor Frankl, born in 1905 in Vienna, received the degree of Doctor of Medicine and Doctor of Philosophy from the University of Vienna. During World War II, he spent 3 years at Auschwitz, Dachau, and other concentration camps. His experience in Auschwitz, though terrible as it was, reinforced what was already one of his key ideas. He noted that at the end of 1944 and early 1945, during Christmas and New Year time, number of his inmate death was high in camp. This is not because of the condition in the camp, which was the same as before, but it was due to the fact that inmates were in the hope that war will be over and they could celebrate the New Year with their family. When they didn't receive any positive news by then, they lost hope and eventually their health deteriorated, or they stopped showing up in the daily activities and eventually they died sooner. He himself was dreaming of reuniting with his wife and giving lectures in the university. This gave him the strength to bear the camp life. Several times in the book, he quotes the word of Nietzsche: he who has a why to live for can bear almost anyhow. He concluded that life is not primarily a quest for pleasure, as Freud believed, or a quest for power, as Alfred Adler thought, but a quest for meaning. A great task for any person is to find meaning in his or her life. Frankl saw three possible sources for meaning: in work, doing something significant, or in love, caring for another person, and in courage in difficult times. Later, he continued his research and introduced logotherapy. In Greek, logos denotes meaning. As it has been called by some authors, the Third Viennese School of Psychotherapy focuses on the meaning of human existence as well as on man's search for such meaning. In his career, he saved thousands of his patients' lives through counsels who are on the verge of killing themselves. This book is organized into three parts. Part 1: Experience in a concentration camp. In this part, Viktor Frankl shares his experience in the concentration camps. Part 2: Logotherapy in a nutshell. He briefs about the logotherapy and methods used to treat patients. Part 3 or postscript: The case for tragic optimism. This chapter is based on the lecture he presented at the Third World Congress of Logotherapy in 1983. I don't think I am qualified to analyze this book, but I will give you some of my key takeaways as it is in this book. Life holds a potential meaning under any conditions, even the most miserable ones. In spite of all the enforced physical and mental primitiveness of the life in the concentration camp, it was possible for spiritual life to deepen. The consciousness of one's inner value is anchored in higher, more spiritual things and cannot be shaken by camp life. But how many free men, let alone prisoners, possess it? Everything can be taken from a man, but one thing: the last of the human freedom to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. If there is a meaning in life at all, then there must be a meaning in suffering. Suffering is an ineradicable part of life, even as fate and death. Without suffering and death, human life cannot be complete. Emotion, which is suffering, ceases to be suffering as soon as we form a clear and precise picture of it. It did not really matter what we expected from life, but rather what life expected from us. We needed to stop asking about the meaning of life and instead to think of ourselves as those who were being questioned by life daily and hourly. Our answer must consist not in talk and meditation, but in right action and in right conduct. Life ultimately means taking the responsibility to find the right answer to its problems and to fulfill the task which it constantly set for each individual. That is why I recommend the Statue of Liberty on the East Coast be supplemented by Statue of Responsibility on the West Coast. Once an individual's search for a meaning is successful, it not only renders him happy but also gives him capability to cope with suffering. Don't aim at success. The more you aim at it and make it a target, the more you are going to miss it. For success, like happiness, can't be pursued. It must ensue and it only does as the unintended side effect of one's dedication to a cause greater than oneself or as the byproduct of one's surrender to person other than oneself. Happiness must happen, and the same holds for success. You have to let it happen by not caring about it. I want you to listen to what your conscience commands you to do and to carry it out to the best of your knowledge. Then you will live to see that in the long run, I say, success will follow you precisely because you had forgotten to think of it. I can go on and on with many more quotes, but if you find it interesting, I would suggest you to read this book. Let me know your thoughts on this video, and if you read this book, do share your insights.